Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you can click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. Kicked off the day, pulled the fan back out because I wanted to make sure my cable was in here right, and it appeared to have been. Didn't seem like it was popping correctly. Maybe something under the hood was pushing on the hood. Anyway, I got this gasket scraped off the throttle body. I'm going to try to find a brush to clean that up a little bit. I'm going to try to find some throttle body cleaner to spray in the throttle body and clean that up. I sprayed some gunk engine cleaner in there after I taped over the intake opening because I didn't want to get a bunch of water or cleaner in there. Plugged up my oil pan access, my little couple intakes there. I'm gonna put something in there, then I'm gonna hose this out. I took the little scoop off of this NA fan rod and replaced the one that was busted up on my turbo one. Took the fan out because I didn't want to spray all that down with degreaser. So I'm letting that sit for a few minutes, looking for the brush to brush this off and keep on trucking on here. The brush should be around here somewhere. I had it a day or two ago. Timer went off and I rinsed a lot of this gunk down off this engine. It was pretty nasty. So now I'm going to do this PCV pipe with this tubing I got from my local hydraulic shop. I'm going to cut this, pull that off of there. Then I'm going to pull it off the back there and maneuver this out, build it, put it in place, secure it, and then I'm going to insulate it and put it in. Next thing I'm going to do is splice this into my wire there because my plastic connector is missing from plugging it in on top of the AC compressor. And I'm going to unbypass those switches. There's a switch there with a electrical lead going to it, and that is wired up through there to that connection. If you unplug this wire that you see there back into that connection there, that puts that back in the loop. And then you plug your wire from your wire harness on your car coming out by the alternator back into that white connector there. So that is some kind of pressure switch in the compressor that you can bypass if you're having issues with it. Most mechanics just bypass it, leave it bypassed, let the car's pressure system function. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go ahead and fix my wire here, splice it in, solder it, and heat shrink on it, and then plug it in the way it is, bypassing the switch on the compressor. One reason I'm doing this repair splice is because the plastic thing is missing. Another reason, it looks like my wire is frayed, so I need to get that right. Next, I'm gonna cut the end off of this because the release clip is broken on it, and I'm gonna solder that together. So let me cut that right there, cut this here, and strip some wire off, solder that end on there. Soldering didn't work well here, so I put a crimp on it, cut the crimp sleeve off. I have my shrink wrap. I'm gonna go ahead and melt the shrink wrap there. So the two wires that come off that switch are just dangling there. I'm going to zip tie them over here, and the wire that comes off the front of the clutch into that little box looking thing there, I plugged it right into the plug that comes out of the wire harness, and then I went on ahead and clipped it into that clip on the compressor. So let me zip tie those other two wires over there. Here's that P2 PCV tube I have. I'm going to replace it with this because I think this has a more consistent ID than this. Flattens down here, stuff like that. So I think I'll get better airflow out of that tube than I do this. So I'm going to take this stuff here and make this pipe here and hook it up. You can see there that the ID is a little bigger on the tubing that I have. Got my tubes made. I'm going to go ahead and put some of this insulation around it, probably down to here and around up to here. Try to prevent it from getting thermal shock and gelling up in there. So this has self-adhesive to close itself, so I got it closed down on the pipe. Fitting I made, I'm going to go ahead and put this in place. It's got a 90-degree joint in there. I don't know why it's acting like it's not 90 degrees. But anyway, I'll direct it out. Let me set it in place, connect these ends, zip tie them, and go from there. Panther is back together. Got a PCV tube replaced, intake manifold replaced, intake tubing hooked up real good. Oh, dang it, I almost forgot to make sure this PCV back here was hooked up. I got the tube off of there I need to connect, and everything else looks fine. This tube is touching the throttle body right there. It's not pushing on it, it's just touching it. I don't like that. We'll see if that becomes a problem. Shouldn't. Got the fan mod done. Everything's hooked up. Let me hook up this tube on this PCV system and fire this thing up. Should be good to go. Good to go, boys. One thing I'm not used to is this real light rain. Real light rain coming down. It's coming down so subtly it doesn't bother me. However, after about an hour of it, it's got all this stuff soaking wet. All my parts over there, all my tools over there. I gotta remember, when I feel a little bit of rain, I gotta put all my stuff inside, or it's gonna get wet, even though I'm not really getting wet. Something you just don't have to deal with in the desert. Just don't happen. I also cut that air tube so that it's not pressing on that there. I may put a little piece of foam around there, but it's not pressing on that aluminum anymore. A couple of days ago, I noticed that Panther's tailpipe was a little high. Looked like it was touching the bottom of the bumper in its little recess there. So I climb under the car and I find this clamp busted. Gotta go get a replacement for that real quick. Went to AutoZone and found this 2.5-inch clamp that I'm going to put on here, tighten this down, and try to position the tailpipe in the proper position. So I'm trying to position this clamp so that it has the most clearance from the springs. I might turn it so that the nuts are pointing up. I'm gonna come down here and check it every once in a while, see if it's touching those springs. So let me go ahead and tighten this up and be done with this. So when that clamp let loose up there, it sagged the exhaust down there, and that pivoted and lifted this exhaust tip up, and it was touching the bottom of the bumper, or real close to it. Melted the bumper and the styrofoam in there. I noticed it about a week ago, being too close to the bumper, so I thought I'd look under here and see what was going on, and that's when I found that clamp rusted out. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.